Welcome back to Fire Your MD Now Radio. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. That's right. Mike Phillip Fridays commence now. Friday, May 30th, 2014. Beautiful day in central Alberta. And I can't wait to cut my grass, work in the garden, and do all that fun stuff. I don't know why they call yard work, because it's not. It's actually really enjoyable. I guess if you're a kid, it's not that great, but when you're an adult, it's just awesome working in your yard. And especially if you live in Alberta, because we got some long, mean winters around here. I mean, they're nasty bad. Lose your toes, man. Call in line 1-844-374-5433. Once again, 1-844-374-5433. Now, I've got a little bit of advice for you. If you want to get involved with longevity, get in touch with your community, find out who's doing it, and work as a team. Have meetings, figure out the business, because if you just phone longevity, they're going to hook you up with a preferred customer account, and you're going to end up paying wholesale when you could be getting your stuff at cost. And you could also avoid the whole shipping payment thing, and we can teach you how to do that. You want to be part of our team? We want you. Team Glidden, 1-800-705-6892. Once again, Team Glidden hotline, 1-800-705-6892. Don't be a schmuck. Don't pay shipping. Don't pay wholesale. I think I made my point clear. So old Mike Phillip walks into 7-Eleven yesterday to get a heavily dosed fluoride coffee. I look down at the newspaper stand, and what do I see? Painful wait. That's what the front cover of the newspaper says. So I got looking at this article, and, well, get this. We got this free social health care system up here in Canada that it's vaunted throughout the world. People think we're so lucky because we get free health care here in Canada. Well, yeah, guess what? They'll leave you butt cold almost every time. Now, free health care is great if you're the kind of person that goes to the doctor every time you get a little ache or pain or scratch a fingernail. But if you actually have a life-threatening condition, number one, they'll put you on a waiting list. Number two, they'll give you a treatment that'll oftentimes kill you. Cancer patient left with holes. Edmonton Sun News. In 2012, David Wenham was a poster boy for a new surgery to replace the teeth he lost when a tumor was removed from his face. 2 years later, he has a multitude of health problems that have gone largely unaddressed by the healthcare system that held him up as a crowning achievement for Swiss doctor Dennis Ronner's groundbreaking surgery. So he was a crowning achievement. And at the time, they made a big fuss about him. Now he's got problems, and they don't want to talk to him anymore. Wenham has a large hole next to his right eye that he has to stuff with gauze every morning. He also has holes in his mouth, and one has become cancerous. He's suffered numerous infections since his 2012 surgery, but he says he stopped counting after 15. The reconstructive surgeries officials promised him are still unfulfilled. Every one of them indicated that they could solve this and that I would be as good as new at the end of it, Wenham said. Well, I guess they were exaggerating to some extent. Yeah, you think? Wenham, age 64, is unable to work. His wife, who is a caregiver, has put her life on hold since he was first diagnosed with cancer 6 years ago. The people live on an acreage in Pigeon Lake where they don't have fast access to stores or medical facilities. Before the 2012 surgery gave him new hope, falsely I might add, Wenham had faced a similar situation waiting for 3 years without upper teeth after having a tumor removed. I and my family are getting quite irate. This is just ridiculous, he said. We've been waiting all this time to do something, to have a promise kept, and it isn't being done. His sinuses were removed. How do you remove an empty cavity? well, whatever. His sinuses were removed during his initial cancer treatment, and his right eye has since stopped functioning. He also lost the bridge of his nose, which requires a separate surgery. A titanium plate in his mouth was supposed to be removed weeks after the operation that gave him teeth, but it was not taken out until 6 weeks ago. Remember, we're talking 2012. After penetrating the skin and creating holes that led to infections. This is sort of a comedy of errors if it weren't so annoying, Wenham said, mustering a laugh. He's reluctant to be portrayed as a victim of the system, but wants to encourage Albertans facing similar problems to be aggressive and outspoken in their fight for health justice. Hey, I'll tell you what, here's the deal. Don't get a face tumor in the first place. How does that sound? This is a no face tumor zone. You can strengthen your body to fight cancer. You can do it. Now, I'm not allowed to say that we cure anything because I don't. I'm just a guy on the radio. But I've seen people get their health back left, right, and center from all kinds of diseases that doctors told them, go home, you're going to die. So, you know, I'm reading about this guy. He's got a big hole that he's got to pack with gauze in his eye every day, courtesy of the Canadian healthcare system. And, you know, I'm pondering this, and then so I go flipping through this paper, and then I get to page 40, and they got this little, this thing they call in 5 minutes. Cancer. 191,300 Canadians will be diagnosed with cancer in 2014. That's a pretty bleak outlook, don't you think? So then they've got these little charts around the side of the pages. Men, 45% or 1 in 2.2. Women, 41% or 1 in 2.4. Lifetime probability of developing cancer by type. Men, prostate, 1 in 8. Lung, 1 in 12. Colorectal, 1 in 13. Bladder, 1 in 27. Non-Hodgkin lymphoma, 1 in 44. Leukemia, 1 in 54. You get the idea? These are some pretty, I mean, this is a bleak outlook. I mean, they flat out tell you, and then they say, okay, listen to this. Almost half of all Canadians will develop cancer in their lifetime, but thankfully, ongoing research is enabling many more lives to be saved in Canada from the dreaded disease. If you don't mind having a hole in your face. 76,600 Canadians will die of cancer in 2014. 63% the likelihood in Canada of surviving at least 5 years after a cancer diagnosis compared to the survival of people in the general population. So that's how they chart it. If you make it 5 years past your cancer, you're considered a survivor. I don't like those odds, and I don't like them for me. I don't like them for my community or my family. Health Canada, leave me alone. You got that? Leave me alone. I mean, if we had this socialized healthcare system, if it was for trauma, fine, I can see that because people actually need ambulances. They need surgery if they've just gotten a car accident and they're bleeding out. That's great. But man, oh man, you sit down on that table with the little white paper stretched across it. That guy's there to find something. It's absolutely amazing. Now, we got a great show ahead of us today here. Stick around because in the second hour, we got Mike Rivero of What Really Happened Radio over on that other network. He's going to come on and talk about SSRIs. Now, what are his qualifications? Well, I'll tell you what, the guy worked for NASA. He was a movie special effects engineer. He's worked on many of the movies and TV shows you've seen. And he also blew the lid off of well, let's just put it this way. A lot of people disappeared around the Clintons, and he was kind of at the forefront of blowing the cover off of that. Interesting stuff. Let's take a couple of calls here. We're going to go all the way to Trinidad. Can you believe it? We're getting calls from Trinidad. we're going to go to Trinidad and we're going to talk to Dawn. Dawn, are you there and can you hear me?
I am hearing you.
I can hear you just fine, Dawn. How's things in Trinidad? I bet you get some rockin' nice weather all the time.
Well, rain, sun, variety of rain and sun.
Well, you can't argue with that. What's going on, Dawn?
Yes, well, I said that I suffer with temporal lobe seizures,
Okay.
and I wanted to know what product to use from the longevity program. So I called to get some suggestions from you.
I've got suggestions for you, Dawn. How did you hear about this show?
It was Andrew
Hello, Dawn.
Andrew Listrop. He and a team came to his sister and a few others. They came to Trinidad about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So they were. I got to know about it through that through those persons.
Okay, great. You know what? I want you to get in touch with them after we have this phone call here.
I certainly will.
Yeah, here's the deal. How much do you weigh, Dawn?
I weigh about 140.
140. Okay. Here's what I want you to do, Dawn. I want you. Now remember, I'm not a doctor and we can't claim to cure anything, but we can help you take things in your own hands. I hear the music and I'm going to get back to you after this break, Dawn, and we're going to get this dialed in, and you're going to be glad you called Mike Phillip on Fire Your MD Now radio. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to Fire Your MD Now radio. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. He's busy guy. He's probably changing into a blue and red suit with a red cape in a phone booth somewhere, getting ready to fly off and beat the crap out of cancer. Now, we got Dawn in Trinidad on the line. And Dawn, here's what I want you to do. Do you got a pen?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I want you to get 2 healthy brain and heart packs.
2 healthy
Brain and heart packs.
brain and what? Packs?
Brain and heart packs. H-E-A-R-T. Yeah, brain and heart.
Packs.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
I want you to take 4 scoops of Beyond Tangy Tangerine per day.
4 what?
4 scoops of the Tangy Tangerine per day. You know what? Just get back in touch with the people that you talked to that came out to the island there.
Yes.
Okay? And they'll help you to order that stuff, and they'll let you know how to take it as well. Okay?
Yes, they do.
Now,
But they
also
but
with
they gave
that.
me this number.
Okay,
4
good.
scoops of what?
Pardon me?
4 scoops of
4 scoops of Tangy Tangerine.
oh, okay.
Okay? And 4 ounces of Beyond OsteoFX. All right?
I didn't get that last one. 4
ounces
ounces,
of Beyond OsteoFX.
of Beyond
Osteo
Osteo.
FX.
What packs?
FX. The letters FX.
Oh, okay. F. Letter.
Right.
Could you tell me what the letters are? I'm not getting the letters clearly.
Okay, it's. I'm having a little bit trouble hearing you, but I think
Yes.
what
What are the letters? 4 ounces of Beyond Os.
FX. Fox X-ray.
X-ray.
FX.
Okay. FX. Okay.
You bet. All right. Now, with that, there's going to be a bottle of pills called EFA Plus. I want you to take 6 of those per day.
EF.
EFAs.
EFA or EFH?
EFA. Apple.
A, all right.
Alpha.
Okay.
Yeah.
6
Okay,
per
Dawn?
day. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So that's it?
I want you to do that, and then I want you to get the 10 bad food list and follow it. You can get that over at fireyourmdnow.com.
10 So could you repeat that last one you said?
Yeah,
Mentioned?
there's a list of foods that you
Uh-huh.
should never ever eat. Did they tell you about that?
Not really.
Okay, you got that pen ready?
Yes,
Okay, go to
Yeah.
fireyourmdnow.com.
now.com.
Yeah, and they will, and you just put in your email address and they'll send you that 10 bad food list. Dawn, thank you very much for calling. We're going to let you go. Keep in touch with the show, and I want to see how you're doing. Let's go over to Montana and let's talk to Peter. Peter, are you there and can you hear me?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me?
Hello, Peter.
Hello. Hi. Thanks.
Going once.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Going twice. I cannot hear you, Peter. We're going to
Well,
put you on hold, and we're going to go over to Toby in Nebraska. Peter, hang on there. Let's see if we can get it figured out. Toby, can you hear me? Toby, are you there?
Can you hear me? Hello?
I cannot hear Toby in Nebraska. We must be having some problems with our phone line. I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm going to put you on hold while we try to figure that out. And the staff at GCN is on it. They've let me know, and you guys hang on there. I can see on the board what you want to talk about, okay? And Peter in Montana wants to talk about heart attacks, okay? Now, let me just get into it. Heart attacks are completely preventable, and I'm as serious as the heart attack that I'm never going to have. Now, it's amazing to me that doctors want to treat this stuff with drugs, because drugs don't fix anything. They mask a naturally occurring reaction within the body, okay? And I'm going to get into a story a little bit later on about statin cholesterol lowering drugs and all the side effects that come with them. You like how they put that, hey, side effects? Amazing. Simply amazing. I hear the music. That means we're going to go to a break. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. We'll get this phone line thing figured out. We are back live. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. Now, let's give this another shot here with the phone lines. Peter in Montana, can you hear me?
Yes, I do.
Oh, I can hear you now, Peter. You know what? I love Montana. I live in Alberta here, just above you.
Oh,
And I actually feel more of a kinship with people from Montana than I do 3,000 miles away in Ontario. It's like, I like Montana, let's put it that way. So what's going on, Peter? What do you want to talk about today?
yeah, I want to talk about, on behalf of my friend. He suffered a massive heart attack about a couple weeks ago or so.
That's no good for business. How's he doing?
Well, he's okay now, but the doctors are talking about or discussing what to do next, to do open heart surgery or bypass surgery, and he would like to avoid it.
Well, you come to the right place, Peter. If I was you, I would tell my friend that he's going to need one healthy brain and heart pack per 100 pounds body weight, just like I told that lady on the last call. Now, another thing I'd like to say about this, your don't just order the regular healthy brain and heart pack. Get him the liquid OsteoFX.
Liquid OsteoFX.
That's right. And also, I want you to add to this 1 bottle of Ultimate Daily Pills per month.
Ultimate Daily Pills?
Yeah, you betcha. There's 180 of them suckers in the bottle. Okay, and you want them to take about 4 a day.
4 a day, okay.
Yep. So if I was you, I would get on this really quick, because the guy is obviously in the weeds. And if he wants to avoid the whole surgery thing, he's going to have to do something right away. There's no time to mess around.
Yeah, that's what I told him too.
Yes, Peter, are you using longevity for your health?
No, not really, but I listen to the Dr. Wallach a lot. So,
All right, well, listen, if you guys need help getting hooked up with some product, here's what I want you to do.
yeah.
All right, Peter, you got that pen?
Yes,
I want you to call 1-800
800
705
705
6892.
6892. And another thing is that he has, from his teenage years, he had and still have chronic gastritis, or how you can call it.
Okay, yeah, he's got a problem in his intestinal tract, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so there's a couple other things that he's going to need to do. I want him also, here's what I would do. I would order 1 bottle of Ultimate Enzymes.
Ultimate Enzymes. Okay.
1 bottle of Ultimate Enzymes. Also, 1 bottle of Ultimate Gut, Flora FX is what it's called. Flora FX, Flora.
Flora FX.
Yep.
Okay.
Fox X-ray FX. And also, if he can afford it, tell him to get some root beer belly. That's probiotics for his stomach. See, here's the thing. If his digestion system is not working correctly, then he's not going to be able to absorb all this stuff. So we got to get that back right now. Now, when you call that number, that 1-800 number that I just gave you,
Yes.
I want you to tell them that Mike Phillip on the radio told you that you need to get the 10 bad food list.
Yeah, I know that bad food list.
Okay, good. So get that to your friend too, Peter. And let's see what we can do with them. Keep in touch with this show. Call that number, and we'll show you how to get these products at cost with free shipping. How does that sound?
Oh, it sounds very good. Very good. Excellent.
All right, Peter. Now I want you to get on this too.
Yeah, I know. But it's hard to do when you drive truck over the road for your all the time.
I get it. You know what? I've worked with truckers and owner of truck companies for years, and there's some of the coolest people you'll ever meet. So I definitely respect what you do, and I respect the fact that you're taking a step towards helping your friend, but I want you to help yourself as well. Peter, we're going to let you go. Thanks for calling. I appreciate it. Now we're going to go over to Toby in Nebraska. Are you there? Hey, Toby, what's up?
Hey, I'm calling. I've kind of stumped my girlfriend, who has been trying to help me out with some asthma issues over the last couple of months. I guess I'm kind of a conundrum. We've been struggling with wheezing. I have severe allergies, eczema, that kind of stuff. I've went gluten-free. It's been 2+ months now, but I'm bloated. I'm gassy. I wheeze constantly. I'm on 12 VFAs a day. Dr. Glenn had suggested that I go stay with the 12 and go to the jojoba EFAs. So I was kind of working out, like finishing off what I had left. But my girlfriend thinks it's an absorption issue, and she's wondering if it's maybe candida or there's something else that we're not hitting, because even if I eat gluten, it doesn't seem to affect me one way or another. So we're kind of at a standstill. Not sure where to go
Is
with
there a
that.
possibility that you're getting gluten into your diet somehow?
I'm very, very rigid about checking labels and watching what I put in my face and that kind of thing. So,
Let me
I would
ask
like
you-
to say no.
Yeah. Okay. Well, really, really check into that, because you could be getting some cross-contamination. Like when I faced the same problems as you, and I haven't had an asthma problem in about 2 years. I used to have the Claritin or some other allergy pill on me at all times, and my quality of life absolutely sucked.
Yes,
So-
yes, exactly.
Yeah, and it's not fun when you can't breathe.
No.
When you can't breathe, that's all you can think about.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I totally get where you're coming from, Toby. Let me ask you this. How much selenium are you taking?
None right now. I'm doing Ultimate Classic and an ounce of OsteoFX at night and 12 EFAs a day.
Okay, bada bing, bada boom. I want you to add the ultimate selenium. Selenium is imperative for lung function. Let me ask you this, Toby. Are you or your friend an insider with Dr. Glidden?
Yes, she is.
Okay, good. Because there is a webinar on lung function in that in the archives of the webinars.
Okay.
Okay. Now, selenium is very, 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 very important to lung function. Okay.
Okay.
How much do you weigh?
About 175.
175. So you're going to take
Yep.
2 bottles of Ultimate Selenium per month. 2
Okay.
bottles. Okay?
Okay.
So just work that out with 2 bottles as to how many you're going to take a day. And I wouldn't worry too much about overdosing because it's pretty hard to do. But if you do develop symptoms where you have soft fingernails and fishy smelling breath, then cut it back a little bit.
Okay.
All right? So
Okay.
you must
And
have
so-
a
but
pretty
there's
good
nothing
friend.
to do-
Sorry, go ahead.
I do.
Yeah.
The question that she was coming up with is she's thinking is that it's an absorption issue.
Yeah.
With so is there anything on that line along with the selenium that we should be looking at? Like I'm not sure,
You
Rupert
get-
belly or any of that thing any of that kind of thing.
Do you get diarrhea when you take the products?
No, no.
Okay, well then I wouldn't think it's an absorption issue.
Okay.
Do you get heartburn?
Okay. Nope. I haven't.
No?
I've actually seen really no change. I saw a change for about a week, and then I just went right back to where I was at. Like I kind of got better, and then I got worse, and then I got better for about 5 days, and then now I'm just staying at this constant tight chest, can't breathe. My eczema is not clearing up.
So
My
you're
allergies are
taking,
out of control.
yeah, you're taking Ultimate Classic and Osteo and the EFAs?
Yes.
Okay, I want you to switch over from that Ultimate Classic to the Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0.
Okay.
All right, do that. And you're going to
Okay.
need 2 of those per month. 2
Okay.
canisters of that and 2 bottles of the liquid
2 bottles.
OsteoFX, Beyond OsteoFX.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to up the ante here a little bit and see if we can get you
Okay.
out of the weeds. Because, man, I can't stand to hear about people suffering, especially women. Really,
Oh,
I
thank
mean,
you.
yeah. Well, I love women. I do. They're great, and it's springtime, and they're all coming out, and it's just great. I've got a beautiful wife, I got a beautiful
Shedding
niece,
the
I got a
clothes?
beautiful sister and mom, and I don't want to see any of them sick, and I don't want to see you sick, Toby.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
So take my suggestions.
Okay.
And try that, okay? And let's see what that does for you. And keep in touch with the show.
I will
And
do.
we'll see what we can do. You take care of yourself, Toby, and go tell your
Thanks a
friend
lot, Mike.
thanks for being so awesome.
I will. Thank you.
Take care, Toby. We're going to let you go, and we're going to go over to Marlis in Colorado. How you doing, Marlis?
Hi, good. How are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm in my 40s, and I've been dealing with Candida the past year or so, and then just putting on weight. So I'm wondering, like, what package is best and how to go through all that.
How'd you hear about us?
You know, from someone told me about the Dead Doctors Don't Lie video,
Uh-huh.
and I listened to that, and that's how I heard about you.
Right on. Well, listen, if your friend is a longevity distributor, I want you to go back and have them help you get these products. If not, I can give you a 1-800 number and we'll help you out.
Okay, how about a 1-800 number? Because I don't think...
All right. It's 1-800
Mm-hmm.
705
Mm-hmm.
6892.
Okay.
Okay? Now, how much do you weigh, Marlis?
140.
140. Okay. So, Marlis, I want you to stay out of the sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Okay.
I want you to avoid sugar. Now, number 2, I would like to see you on 2 Healthy Start packs with an extra bottle of selenium per month and a bottle of plant-derived minerals. Okay?
Okay.
Now, those 2 Healthy Start packs, when you call that number, I want you to be specific with them and tell them you don't want a regular Healthy Start pack because they'll send you the powdered OsteoFX.
Okay.
And that tastes like a dog's butt. To me, anyways. I mean, it's some people like it, but I get way better effects out of the liquid OsteoFX. So tell them you want 2 bottles of Beyond OsteoFX liquid with the Tangerine 2.0 and the EFAs. Now, the EFAs, I want you to take about 9 of those a day.
Okay. Okay, so 2 of the liquid with the Tangy and EFAs.
Yep, that's right. And the extra bottle of selenium and plant-derived minerals. Now, I've seen women in my own life just taking the Tangy Tangerine lose weight like right off the bat. So I wish you all the luck, Marlis. Call that number. We'll hook you up. Gonna let you go. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. Back after this. Welcome back. We're live. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden on the Fire Your MD Now radio show on the great GCN radio network. Now, this is really cool. I've just gotten this study, the results from the prestigious Richardson Center for Functional Foods and Nutraceuticals. I love that word, nutraceutical. Isn't that cool? Nutraceutical. At the University of Manitoba. The RCFFN is one of the most advanced bioprocessing and product development facilities in the world that focuses on the research, discovery, and development of innovative functional foods and nutraceuticals. Ha, there it is again. Research team at RCFFN evaluated the safety and health effects of the following Youngevity signature products: Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 and the Healthy Start Pack 2.0, which consists of the Tangy Tangerine, Beyond OsteoFX 2.0, and Ultimate Essential Fatty Acids. Now, I'm really, really glad to see this because I'll tell you why. I get a ton of people asking me how safe these products are. Because doctors continually tell people, specifically MDs, don't take too much iron, don't take too much calcium. I was with Dr. Wallach. He said they should be in jail if they tell you that. The study was overseen by Dr. Peter Jones, director of the RCFFN, and one of the world's foremost researchers in dietary and nutraceutical determinants in the control of fat, energy metabolism, and various other critical health issues. When initially developing the study outline for Youngevity, it was critical to investigate the important areas where the products could be of benefit and demonstrate a high level of safety, and I believe we accomplished that. These are very well thought out studies, says Dr. Peter Jones. Now, here's the results. Safety. RCFFN tested various levels of organ functions and metabolism to demonstrate the safety of Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0, OsteoFX, and Ultimate Essential Fatty Acids. The biochemical indicators and measurements showed normal functioning and metabolism of the liver, kidneys, and heart after supplementation with Tangy Tangerine and the Healthy Start Pack. No adverse reactions. No, none. Weight loss, get this. Consumption of the Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 as well as the Healthy Start Pack 2.0 significantly reduced the absolute weights of white adipose tissue as well as weight percentage of whole body weight. The study showed a significant reduction in adipose tissue weight in body fat mass. Now listen to this, bone health. Significant reductions in plasma concentrations of alkaline phosphate, an enzyme that promotes breakdown of bones, were observed, along with increases in concentrations of the bone-building materials, calcium and phosphorus. Bone-building materials. You think that's a good idea? Support for normal inflammatory response. Inflammation was induced in the animal models by feeding them a high-fat and sugar diet that triggers the interleukin-6 inflammatory marker. After supplementation with both the Beyond Tangy Tangerine and the Healthy Start Pack, a significant reduction of the inflammatory marker was observed, demonstrating support for normal inflammatory responses when placed under stressful conditions. Pretty cool, huh? It's very important that studies such as these are done in an unbiased, highly respected academic setting. Consumers can feel confident in the results of these studies because of the arm's length relationship that RCFFN had with longevity. We reported everything we found, said Dr. Ramsarath Vanu Ramkumar, University of Manitoba Associate Professor. So, if you have questions about the safety of this, they've just been answered. If you're working at Health Canada and you want to determine that these products are dangerous, you've just been shot out of the water. And I'm glad that that happened. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. We're going to be back with Mike Rivero of What Really Happened Radio after this. Welcome back to Fire Your MD Now Radio. This is not Dr. Glidden. This is Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Glidden. And if you remember just a little while back, I was doing this show and we had a feature on SSRIs, or serotonin reuptake inhibitors. Now, I've got a clip I'm going to play for you, and I'm not even going to tell you anything about it. I'm just going to see if your BS detector is running full tilt. Give this thing a listen and let your brain absorb it and think through what is being said. Let's roll that clip.
And still to come, an exclusive Outfront investigation into a string of young, affluent men committing mass murders. Did the fact that their families tried to help them and give them therapy make them do it? This is a story that we've heard before. Young men, middle class and upper class, in need of help, and they get help and then engage in acts of mass murder. Why? Tonight, we're learning new information about last month's police encounter with Elliot Rodger, the young man who murdered 6 people on Friday in Santa Barbara. According to the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Department, authorities making a welfare check say they found Rodger to be, quote, shy, timid, and polite. And when they questioned him about the disturbing videos that his parents had found, the young man replied that he was having trouble fitting in socially, and they were merely a way of expressing himself. A family friend tells CNN that, well, those words might have come from a lot of therapy. The family had tried to get Rodger's help. It was a never-ending battle. This is a story that we've heard before. Young men, middle class and upper class, in need of help, and they get help and then engage in acts of mass murder. Why? Ted Rollins is out front.
I will destroy you.
22-year-old Santa Barbara shooter Elliot Rodger joins a disturbing group of young male rampage killers that have a lot in common. Sandy Hook killer Adam Lanza, James Holmes, the Aurora movie shooter, the Columbine killers, and Jared Loughner from the Tucson massacre were all in their late teens to mid-20s at the time of their shootings. All of them grew up in relatively stable environments, except the Columbine shooters all attended at least some college, and all of them had mental health issues.
They come from a world where they're cared for and nurtured, they have resources, they're protected.
PhD psychologist James Garbarino has spent more than 20 years studying and writing about murderers. He's written several books, including Lost Boys: Why Our Sons Turn Violent. While Rodger is half Asian, Garbarino believes one of the reasons the vast majority of rampage killers in the U.S. are young white men is because their mental illness is mixed with an inflated ego.
The environment that they're in and the narcissism that they experience, all of that sort of predisposes them to take on these vendettas against their perceived enemies.
I don't know what you don't see in me. I'm the perfect guy.
The same condition in a kid who's living in a poor neighborhood, who's living with gangs, who's living with abuse, who's living with poverty and deprivation. They will do sort of crazy things, but it'll be aimed at an individual, not at sort of abstractly society in general.
Garbarino also believes that young white men suffering from mental illness are kept afloat longer because of a more supportive environment, which allows their delusional anger and frustration to grow, which seems to be true with Elliot Rodger, according to family friend Simon Astaire.
He'd been fooling everyone for many years, and the shame is that in the end no one could rescue what had happened on Friday night. And what these boys who go out to kill don't understand is that when they murder one, they murder many, because they don't just kill the people that lie dead on the streets or in apartments or in galleries or in cinemas. They kill thousands and thousands of others who are connected to those.
Sadly, Garbarino believes there are more of these young men out there, and until something is done to prevent people struggling with mental illness from obtaining guns, we should all expect that these rampages will continue. Ted Rollins, CNN, Chicago.
Dr. Michael Wellner is a forensic psychiatrist who's had a lot of experience with these high-risk patients. So, Dr. Wellner, what I'm so curious about here is this. This is an incredible report with Ted's investigation. Basically saying that getting therapy itself, these kids who are wealthy enough to have that access and those support networks, could allow their anger and frustration to grow, could actually enable them and encourage them to kill.
I just find it all pretty fanciful, actually. I have the unfortunate experience of having had to work and wade within the bodies as a person who interviews people who've done this and who've survived their rampages and gotten to know them. And they've been black and they've been Asian and they've been white. And I think the minute we start fusing the Donald Sterling race and politics and all this with something that's a societal phenomenon that has other things behind it, then it gets muddy. I will tell you this, that with respect to just the question of family and therapy.
Yes.
What this case has underscored for us, which is experience that I've had, but he brought it out starkly, is that the person who has determined he's going to go on a mass killing is not going to tell anyone. He's not going to tell a therapist because the therapist will take it away from him. He's organized it the way he has set it up as a life ambition.
So what's the point of therapy then?
It's not. The point of therapy is to help somebody who has a psychiatric illness. But if somebody does not want to be introspective, he's not going to benefit from therapy. It's not that therapy is part of the problem. It's just that the approach to somebody who's not willing to take responsibility and who blames everybody around him, it's going to be a much harder hill to climb for any therapist, unless, of course, what he has can benefit from medication. And sometimes people are resistant and suspicious and resentful because of a treatable biological condition.
All right. Dr. Wellner, thank you very much, and we really want your feedback on that report and his response. Still out front, Brad Pitt. This is a story that we've heard before. Young men, middle class and upper class, in need of help, and they get help and then engage in acts of mass murder. Why? This is a story that we've heard before. Young men, middle class and upper class, in need of help, and they get help and then engage in acts of mass murder.
Did you catch that? They need help, they get help, and then engage in acts of mass murder. What's going on here? What really happened? Interesting question. Well, we got a guy here to talk about it. His name is Mike Rivero, and if you've never heard of him, he's been following this story and similar ones for a long time. I'm going to read you his bio. Mike Rivero is the webmaster of WhatReallyHappened.com, the host of the What Really Happened radio show on RBN. Formerly with NASA, Michael transitioned his image processing skills along with a brief stint as an actor into the then new motion picture computer animation field, and has worked on films such as Star Trek, The Day After Tomorrow, and has supervised visual effects on Brain Scan, Lost, and Hawaii Five-0. Mike has taken a sabbatical from film work to focus all his efforts on peace activism. Michael's foray into blogging began before the word was even invented, and happened almost by accident when he spotted a suspicious photograph being broadcast on ABC News in 1994 related to the death of White House Deputy Counsel Vincent Foster. Since that sudden beginning, Michael's website has expanded to cover diverse topics, including the JFK assassination, the accidental shoot down of TWA 800, election fraud, health issues, Saddam's non-existent nuclear weapons, 9/11, the economy, and of course the lies used to trick the United States into wars of conquest on Afghanistan, Iraq, and now most likely Iran. Michael resides in Hawaii with his wife Claire, who is a composer and creates, much of the theme music used on the What Really Happened radio show. Mike, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
I can. So it's an honor to have you on the show. I've been listening to your show for quite some time, and I like your take on things. Now, I'm guessing you probably heard that clip, and a number of things jumped out at me. And I could go on, but I'm going to let's hear your take on this, Mike.
Well, it is amazing how difficult or how hard they're working to not look at what's obviously going on here. I mean, they made the connection that these kids are coming from well-to-do backgrounds, and they're able to avail themselves of psychological treatment. Why then do they turn violent? The question has to be, is how they are being treated the cause, and in particular, these chemicals that are being pumped into their bodies. And there is a very long track record of acts of extreme violence and suicide being caused by these medications, in particular the SSRIs. Now, this is an area where the corporate media and the government do not wish to go. Right now, about 20% of the American people are taking these medications. They are highly profitable. And TV news networks don't want to mention this link between SSRIs and violence, because then they're going to lose those very lucrative TV commercials for the pharmaceutical industry. Congress actually did hold hearings on this problem, but chose to do nothing because big pharmaceutical corporations write very big campaign donation checks, and so it's all being driven by the money. In fact, I'll give you a good example of just how corrupted the system is and why we're not able to get good information. Following the Sandy Hook shooting, a public interest group in Connecticut used their state's version of the Freedom of Information Act to try and get Adam Lanza's medical records to find out what medications he was on. And they were opposed by the assistant prosecutor for the state's medical examiner office, Patrick Quanashy, who argued that even if in this one case the medication triggered this murderous rampage, it was not important for the American people to know because they might stop taking their medication. And then if you look at how dependent Connecticut's economy is on those big pharmaceutical industries, you'll understand that Patrick Quanashy was not looking out for the public health or the public welfare. He's there to protect the tax revenue stream. Now, there is a website that all of your listeners ought to visit at least once. It's called ssristories.com, and they will find hundreds and hundreds of documented cases of people who are given these medications and all of a sudden turn violent, or even worse, they try and get off the medications, and that's the time when you are at greatest risk to harm yourself and others. The gun grabbers are out there screaming it's all about banning the guns, ignoring the fact that half of the fatalities in Santa Barbara were from knife wounds. But they want to blame the guns. It justifies taking guns away from these people. But if you look at ssristories.com, you will see that these poor people who've had their brains melted with these chemicals, they will use knives, they will use baseball bats, whatever is out there. They will
Mike, I got to interrupt you. I hear the music. That means we're going into a break. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden here with Mike Rivero back after this. Welcome back to Fire Your MD Now Radio. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. Now, if you want to get your health back without drugs and surgery, that's what we do. And I'm talking mental health as well. Team Glidden's got a hotline, 1-800-705-6892. Call us. We'll hook you up, give you the right information to get your health back without drugs and surgery. Now, speaking of drugs, we got Mike Rivero on talking about SSRIs. And before the break, he was talking about all these shootings where they're hesitant to disclose what drugs the shooter was on prior because they don't want to damage the money. They'll blame it on guns. They'll blame it on white privilege. They'll blame it on whatever, but they will not lay the blame at the feet of where it rightfully belongs. Mike, I'd like you to pick up where you left off and keep going.
Well, obviously, when you have violence that is being triggered by adverse reactions to these medications, the ones that draw blood will make the headlines, and then the guns will be scapegoated. But I went back and I did some research, and I found that the per capita incidence of domestic abuse began to rise at the same time these medications started being marketed to a large segment of the American public. Like I said, about 1/5 of Americans are taking these things. So there's all kinds of violence escalating that doesn't make the news, whether it's road rage or fights at a bar that otherwise would not have happened. And the reason I'm on this issue so hard is I had a bad experience with these medications myself many years ago when I was in the gap between my first and second marriages, and I was seeing my doctor over an unrelated it was an injury, actually. And she just asked, how are you handling the breakup of your marriage? And I said, well, I'm not entirely cheerful. And she said, here, have this antidepressant. And she wrote me the prescription, and being very naive and trusting, I went to the pharmacy and I bought it, and I took the pills in the recommended dosages, and for about 3 weeks, I was happy. I was fun to be with. I was being invited to parties. And then in the fourth week, there was this incredible crash that put me into this absolute black depression. And the only way I got through it is I just kept sitting in the corner saying, this is a chemical reaction, this is a chemical reaction. We'll never, ever, ever take any of those medications ever again. There's now evidence that the theory of operation of the SSRIs isn't really operating anyway, but basically when you block a neurotransmitter, it sort of saves up like a savings bond. The interest is building until it finally lets go and it breaks through. And again, if you go over to ssristories.com, you will read that the time that you are most at risk for an adverse violent reaction, harming yourself or harming others, is when you're coming off these medications. And you got to read some of these case studies. There was one about a kid who was being given these medications for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which, by the way, the guy who came up with that term admitted it was just a made-up disease to help sell more pills.
I read that.
This kid tried to kill himself. They got to him in time, and when it was all over and they sat down and said, why'd you try and kill yourself? And he says, I don't know. It just popped into my head, and I couldn't help myself. And he was on these medications. If you go back and you look at all these mass shooting cases, almost all of them involve kids either on or coming off of things like Luvox. The Columbine shooters certainly were. These days, though, they're trying to conceal the medical histories of these kids because they understand the public is wondering what's really going on. We do know that Adam Lanza was on Fanapt, and the contraindication warnings that are packaged with the product say can trigger bouts of extreme rage, paranoia, and violence. We are just now finding out that Elliot Rogers in Santa Barbara, at least one medication he was on was risperidone, which in susceptible people, again, episodes of extreme violence. It seems to hit between 2 and 6 months after taking the medication, then it stabilizes and then picks up again after 2 years. Oddly enough, only in males. So I don't know what's going on with that. But there is an issue, and back in 2011, Time Magazine actually wrote an article saying there is a correlation here. And Time Magazine said, we're not going to say these medications are causing these episodes of violence, but there is clearly a correlation where people who are on these medications are more prone to violence that makes no sense at all. It's just rage bursts through, and they act on it.
That's interesting. We got a break coming up here. Thanks for that, Mike. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden, talking to Mike Rivero about SSRIs. When we get back, we're going to talk about the VA scandal and how it ties in with socialized health care, and it's a big bad voodoo daddy. We'll be back after this. Welcome back. We're live. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden, talking to Mike Rivero of WhatReallyHappened.com and What Really Happened Radio over on that other network. RBN, I'm not afraid to say it. Now, we were talking about these SSRIs before the break, and Mike had his own bad experience. If you go to ssristories.com, you're going to read a whole lot of really awful, horrible stories about things that happened to guys when they were on these drugs or quit. Now, it seems to me if you don't want your kid to shoot himself or hang himself or cut his wrists or kill you in your sleep, you better stay away from these things and figure out a better way. Well, we've got a better way over here at Team Glidden, 1-800-705-6892. We've got proven methods to get your mental health back without these drugs that were whipped up in Satan's toilet bowl. I had a personal experience with a person in my life that was on those drugs, and sure enough, every time they went off of them, all of a sudden they had a list of people they wanted to kill, and they were acting really weird. Now, this guy, I'm not going to say any names, now he's on a court order that if he doesn't go and get his injections, there's a warrant out for his arrest. So now he has to be forcibly medicated so that he doesn't hurt himself or somebody else. And it really backs you into a corner. There's ways of getting off of them, but you can't quit cold turkey. Mike, before we get into these other topics, do you have any closing remarks on the SSRI epidemic?
Yeah, it is a major problem because there was a study done down in Florida that showed that police departments are higher users of these medications than the general population. And
Yikes.
as we see this incredible brutality by the police against the American people, you begin to wonder, I mean, how much medication are these people on?
Yeah, you got to wonder. Well, I mean, something's going on because there's been a dramatic shift. Like when I'm a dual U.S. Canadian citizen, and I mean, I didn't look at cops that way when I was a kid. We weren't afraid of them, and they were actually your friend. Now, I'm really fortunate because the little town I live in central Alberta, the cops actually behave themselves and they work with the community pretty good. But yeah, from what I've heard in places like Texas, specifically in Arizona, what's that little town there? Yeah, I mean, or New Mexico.
Albuquerque.
Albuquerque, yeah, those guys seem like they're on a rampage. I mean, somebody would do well to look into what kind of medications they're taking. Now, switching topics, I live in Canada, and we have this much vaunted free healthcare system. Free healthcare. All you got to do is just walk in the door and they'll patch you up and send you on your way and you'll be just fine, buddy, because it's Canada and we got free healthcare. Well, nothing's free. And I'll tell you from firsthand experience, if you're the kind of person, I know I mentioned this earlier, I want to say it again. If you're the kind of person that goes to the doctor every time you get a scratch on your fingernail or a pain in your foot, then it works great. If you have a serious life-threatening condition, you get put on a waiting list. And even if you make it through the time that you're on the waiting list, they give you a treatment that more often than not kills you. I mean, for cancer, we use chemotherapy and absolutely destroy people's immune system. And, you know, it's just crazy with all these treatments. So leading into that, the best example of socialized healthcare I can think of in the United States, beside the up-and-coming Obamacare, which I might add nobody seems to care about from what I'm seeing. Nobody's going for it, and that might save you. But the VA, there's been this big scandal, specifically with one in Phoenix, Arizona, where they were caught keeping waiting lists of certain people that were slated to be treated or die. Can anybody say death panel? Mike, your comments on this?
Yeah, it really does sound like it. Now, first of all, there is nothing new about the U.S. government shortchanging the veterans. They did it after the American Revolution. They certainly did it to the bonus army at the end of World War I. We've always seen the U.S. government, when you are young and healthy and you are willing and able to go out and kill who you're told to kill, they'll spend all kinds of money on you for whatever it is that you need. But once you are wounded and no longer of any use to the war machine, there's a waiting list scandal where these poor kids were just sent out to wait at home until they died. We're finding situations where women who are in the serving U.S. military who have been raped and are judged not to have adjusted to it correctly are given an adjustment problem discharge, which cuts them off of all benefits. I mean, it's just absolutely absurd. They're just trying to get rid of these wounded veterans so that they're not costing the government any more money because they need the money for bombs and bullets. Now, what's really going on here, of course, Shinseki resigned today, and Obama's out there saying, you know, this is unacceptable. But the reality is that the top VA officials told the Obama administration about this problem back in 2008. And so Obama has known all along. The only reason it's unacceptable now is because the public found out about it in an election year. So right. Shinseki has been ordered to commit seppuku on the carpet in the Oval Office, and we're all supposed to believe that, well, the bad guy's been punished and the problem is solved. And no, it isn't, because the problem is systemic, and it has to do with this horrible attitude by the U.S. government towards serving military people that they're worthy of support when they're able to go out there and do the killing. But once they're crippled and they can't do the job anymore, just get rid of them any way that you can.
Yeah, absolutely. My dad's a vet. He served with the United States Army. He's down in Tennessee. And he told me that he called up the VA because he has to deal with them all the time. But he asked them about this. And they said, no problem. Nothing to see here. It's all good. So, and what he was telling me, too, that now, just locally, from what he's seen, he knows a vet that is on disability. And instead of giving them checks, they have basically taken over all of their payments and property rights as well. So he has no actual hands-on, he can't even use his money. They control it. So we're seeing that as well. Have you had any experience with that, Mike?
No, I haven't seen any experience with it, but it does seem to be the direction the government is sort of heading, where they're going to manage your money for you and you just be an obedient little soldier or an obedient little serf. Right now, the U.S. government is just absolutely desperate for money. That's what Obamacare was really all about. It was not about care. It was not about health. It was about setting up a new insurance system that would guarantee $200 billion a year in pure profit to the insurance industries who were behind the Affordable Care Act. They, in turn, would give the U.S. government a mafia-like piece of the action through taxes. Well, that's obviously failed. Between the problems with the healthcare.gov website, with more policies being canceled than signed up for, we're at a point right now where those same health insurance companies are now saying they need a taxpayer bailout to stay in business. And so Obama is basically now he's back to screaming about human-caused global warming, and he's probably going to announce a carbon tax next week because they are desperate for any source of cash to keep this system going as long as they can.
You know what? We got the same thing here. I pulled up a story earlier from healthcaretransformation.ca. Headline says, healthcare costs will eat 97% of provinces' budgets as Canadian population ages. Canadian healthcare experts are concerned that within the next few years, healthcare costs will grow to a level where provinces and territories will be spending almost all their budgets on healthcare. And like I tell you what, Mike, here in the province of Alberta, we spend $1.4 million per hour on treatments that are ineffective, juvenile, and frankly don't work and are dangerous. They might kill you. And you guys are going to suffer the same thing. But like I said earlier, is it just me, or is it seems like Americans don't care about Obamacare. Like they had problems with that website. I mean, these people can't even put up a website. I mean, unless it was on purpose that it wasn't supposed to work. I don't know. But I mean, the guys that are running it, if you shake their hand, you better count your fingers.
Well, basically, the contract to set up healthcare.gov was not put out for open bid. It was simply awarded, no bid, to a company who has an executive who was Michelle Obama's roommate in college. That's how they got the contract. And
it was a Canadian company, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It's the same one that set up Canada's long gun registry system that was so messed up that eventually it had to be scrapped. And they were paid huge amounts of money to set up the system. It still doesn't work all the way through from end to end. But again, it was just set up to be a cash grab. Now, the situation with medical care in the United States is very simple. We have the world's most expensive medical care. It is ranked something like 33rd in quality. Cuba has better health care than the United States. But it's all being driven by money, by basically marketing and selling products. The pharmaceutical companies are trying to find a way where they can sell medications to perfectly healthy people. That's a big part of this whole over-marketing of vaccines for illnesses we're never going to encounter. It's just like the old traveling Wild West medicine show where the con artist rides into the middle of town with his wagon. It's painted bright colors. They crank down that backstage, have a little coochie girl doing a dance, and then the pitchman gets up and says, out there on the other side of the Great Plains, there's a plague laying waste to the Native Americans, and it's heading this way, and the only way that you'll protect yourself is with a bottle of Dr. Mike's Pepper Whatsum. and they just sell off the bottles, and he makes his money, and they drink the stuff, and hopefully it won't kill him, and he cranks up the wagon and he rides out of town. And we're seeing so much of that same attitude in the modern medical pharmaceutical industry. Earlier today on my show, we were reporting on a story where somebody did a survey of medical doctors, oncologists, and found out the vast majority of them would never agree to chemotherapy if they came down with cancer, even though their job is to sell it to their patients.
Yeah, here in Canada, doctors actually get a direct kickback for every patient that they put on chemotherapy. And in a lot of cases, that's actually supplemented their income. And like you talk to a pharmacist, and they'll tell you that they have to mask up and wear gloves just to handle these drugs. If you go into a long-term care facility, the workers have to wear gloves and a mask just to give some of the pills to the seniors that are in their last years of life. And I know a few, and they're telling me, okay, I'm told that I can't breathe this or touch it because it's deadly. And then I hand it to somebody in the last years of their life. I mean, man, Goebbels would have been proud.
Yeah, it is. It's really dangerous, and it's complicated by the fact that in order to maintain patentable products and market exclusivity, these pharmaceutical companies are focused on creating brand new molecules that have never existed before, that we have not co-evolved with, and some of them provoke unpredictable reactions when they meet our body chemistry. Our bodies don't know how to deal with them because we've never experienced them before, unlike natural medicines where we've been exposed to them for a million years and there's no surprises.
Well, I mean, that's just it. Here's the deal. You can't patent a mineral or a vitamin because it's naturally occurring. I was reading a story in Time where they had produced a synthetic resveratrol because of the link between resveratrol and fighting cancer, right? Well, I'd rather personally just drink a bottle of red wine a day.
Yes, I see that. I take the same approach.
Absolutely. Right on, Mike. We got a break coming up here. I hear the music. We're going to bring you back after this. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. Great interview. We'll be back after this. Welcome back. We're live. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden, talking to Mike Rivero of WhatReallyHappened.com and What Really Happened Radio over on RBN. And this has just been a super interview, very informative. Mike, I'm going to put you on the spot. We were talking about the pharmaceutical companies. And could you go a little bit into the history of how our current pharmaceutical companies came to be?
Well, basically, pharmaceuticals began as small compounding laboratories, but they were seized on as wonderful investment opportunities and acquired by large corporations, which started to have the financial clout to form partnerships with medical establishments. And as you pointed out, doctors and hospitals are often given kickbacks for using their products. There's a big scandal over in Great Britain right now where the Serious Fraud Office is now investigating GlaxoSmithKline for providing prostitutes for doctors at conventions in exchange for promoting their product.
Wow.
You know, spread a little sexually transmitted disease while we're at that.
Yeah.
One of the ways that this is impacting medical costs is these large health insurance providers will go to the hospitals and say, we will accept claims from your hospital, but only in exchange for a steep discount. And the hospital will say, that, okay, we'll do that. Then they'll raise their prices to offset the discounted rate the insurance companies are willing to repay. And what happens if you come into the hospital without insurance, you're still going to pay that enlarged, inflated rate. And that's a big reason why medical costs are so expensive in the United States, is because the insurance companies keep arguing for larger discounts, the hospitals raise the prices to offset that, and the patient is caught in the middle.
Well, you guys just need to give your doctors more hookers, I think, is what the deal is.
Could very well be. Couldn't hurt.
Well, you know, and people are always amazed when they hear this, but Dr. Wallach, he talks about this study that was it was done on the fly, and they went around and they tested a bunch of doctors while they were in theater, and it turned out that 50% of them were completely screwed out of their heads on drugs and booze. So, I mean, you might as well throw in some hookers and turn it into a party.
Maybe as well, but these days my wife and I, we stay away from doctors as much as possible. I wasn't able to do that earlier this year. I had a serious issue. I'm not a Christian Scientist, but we're taking our vitamins, we're taking our supplements, we make our own homemade colloidal silver, and just really try and not get tangled up with this very serious artificial chemistry.
Well, the name of this show is Fire Your MD Now, and this is the kind of stuff that we cover, right? So, we encourage people to go to their doctor and tell them, I've got a problem with my vision. I can't see you anymore. And, I went to doctors my whole life, Mike, and I had such bad asthma and allergies that it was killing me. There was times when I couldn't get off the couch for a week. I had blood in my stool. And I was scared to go to the doctor, and then when I got involved with this program, I completely turned it around. I haven't needed an asthma inhaler or any allergy drugs in about 2 years. Not only that, but my wife, she's beautiful and small and young, and she was absolutely breaking down, and I took her to doctors, rheumatologists, and pain specialists all over the province of Alberta, where we spend so much money on the so-called best healthcare in the world. And we got one of 3 answers from them, and it was like, you need drugs, or you're lying to get drugs, and you want to talk about a mad husband after I've been listening to her cry herself to sleep every night because she was in so much pain. And I guess the most honest answer that they gave us was, But I tell you what, it took us about 6 months, and my wife is completely pain-free. I got over all my health issues. I hear the music. Mike, I'm so glad you could come on. Let's do this again sometime.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.
Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. Have a great weekend, everybody. I'm going to go crank up some old Van Halen and probably have a few pops. Phillip out.